Good morning, fellow adventurers. Every day is an adventure. It's been a few weeks since we've been able to do an update, so gonna try to get things caught up a little bit. I think where I left off was this trailer that's behind me, was doing some work on the trailer, and that has worked out well. Got a cat that's down by my feet. That's kind of one of the other new additions that we've got going on. So, trailer, managed to raise it up. We put maybe 3,000 miles on it thus far and haven't had any problems yet. So I say that, knock on wood, which I don't have around me right now, but it's been working out pretty good. So we've been doing a lot of moving recently because that's part of the things that have been going on. So in the past couple of months, we've had my mother-in-law passed away, which was kind of a large event in our life, and my wife spent a lot of time working with my mother-in-law, so it was a cancer thing. It was pretty rough. So that happened. That took a lot of time away, and we've made kind of a lot of changes since that has gone on, kind of decisions about how to move forward. So one of the decisions that we made was to purchase another property. So we had the 5 acres, so we were working on kind of a little homestead, and the boys were not, our 2 teenagers that we've got, one being a freshman and the other being a sophomore in high school, our youngest 2 out of 5, were not really kind of grooving on the situation of that property and staying out there. So I did a lot of online looking, and I made a few trips out. We had one property that we spotted early on, and we're like, oh, this is a really neat property. Went out, took a look on it, made an offer, didn't get accepted. And we're like, oh, well, maybe that's not meant to be. So we went out and looked at a few other properties, and then after that, we ended up coming back to this property, made another offer on it, and we've got it. So we've got a new property that we're working on, and that's been kind of, there's been a lot of back and forth with the horse trailer. We're using that to move things. It's definitely not watertight. Like in a big rain, it's not gonna do well, but it works pretty well just for moving things back and forth normally. Now we put some plastic over here to help keep the wind and stuff out of there, and that's been holding up really well. I did some rewiring inside. There was the lift to the axles, that taking and moving them underneath the springs. That's worked out pretty well. Did some greasing of the bearings, trying to make sure that's all good. We added some safety chains to the front because those weren't there. Converted from a 4-wire to a 7-wire, but I really don't have more than the original 4 wires hooked up at this point in time. There are brakes on the trailer, which I would like to get hooked up. Looks like they were cut at one point in time, but that's going to be a fairly big job and take a while to get done. So anyway, right now it's been doing the job. Oh, also, quick tip, Kate went into Menards, and one of the things that they had was some vinyl remnants. So the wood floor that's in there, plus we've got a little bit of rusting kind of on the inside. We're worried about water coming up off the road and getting our stuff dirty. So we got 2 big vinyl remnants that we laid on the floor in there, and those have done fantastic to keep all of the dirt and stuff out while we're moving. So that's worked out very well, and my wife was really smart in catching that one and getting that installed in there. So trailer's done a really good job moving things back and forth. We added, let's see, anything else that we added? No, I think that was it. It was just the 7-wire conversion, safety chains, axles, whatever. In my pickup, I did need to get, they make a mount, the ball mount that goes in the middle of my bed for this. They make one that's offset a little bit, so it comes up and then it goes over and then back, and that gives me a little bit more swing room in the back, which I like that a lot. I think usually where you see those mentioned is when you've got an RV and it's got the top of the RV's coming really close to your cab, and people have it hitting the back of their cab. It drops it back a few inches. It gives them a little bit more swing room. I like having more swing room, even though I don't really need it for the front of the trailer with concerns with my cab. It does give me more room to maneuver a little bit in the back there. So Yeah, so that's been kind of the trailer story. So the truck and the trailer stuff's been going really well, I have to say. The next thing really has been this property that we've been working on. So the property, when we got it, and the sun's coming up behind me, I'm probably going to need to change my camera view here a little bit. But the property that we got, I swing around a little bit. You can see we've got our RV out here now. And then if I swing a little bit more, you can see we've got a workshop here in the background. And then this is the garage. So we've got I think they're 30 by 40, both of the buildings. The workshop that's back here has power. It's got a metal roof on it, big win. It's got AC in it. I think the lady that was here before, who passed away due to cancer, and that's kind of a longer story. So what we know is that she passed away. The property was not really maintained for a better part of a year. So it kind of grew out of control. There was a little bit of maintenance going on just right around the house to keep things running, but largely the property was let go. So there's a lot of recovery that we're working on from that. So workshop's got power. Really the garage door. So a couple of projects that have gone on in the workshop have been, the garage door was not working, so I got to replace my first torsion spring, which was a little bit interesting. So no problems there. It's kind of a scary thing. It's a pretty powerful spring, but got it replaced. Now the power that's in there runs along 2 walls inside the building, which is a little bit annoying because really where I want to put my tools at. I'm going to need to run another power feed. It does have an AC unit in there, but the AC unit does not function at this point in time. So it's a combo AC heat unit, and I think it's about 10 to 15 years old, so probably needs to be replaced. We'll have to figure out where to go with that at this point in the future. So got that cleaned up inside there. It does have workbench that I built in there, and I'll put a little picture of the workbench that I built like up in the corner here. So it was fairly easy construction. I really liked what we had out at the other homestead property, farmstead, whatever you want to call it, the smaller property that we had. I really liked the workshop bench setup that they had there, so I was trying to duplicate that a little bit here. So that's kind of what I built out, and that's this workbench here, and it's 24 feet by about 3 feet deep. So as I got to figure out what I'm going to do next as far as like a shelf behind there. I need something to set things on. I need to build some holders for tools, but it gives me a lot of space to spread out. Also, I built myself it's 2 foot by 8 foot workbench that I use. I've been doing most of my sawing on there. I just bought some wheels for that so I can wheel it around and kind of move it in and out as I need to do things. So that's the workshop. So very happy with the workshop. Now the next thing we got is this garage, which has this huge peaked roof on it. So the roof that's here has a lot of space. Now the trussing, so there's a few issues with the garage. Number one is there's all this roof space. There's a little stairway to go up there, but the trussing does not make the attic very usable space. So I would like to see if maybe I can convert the trusses over to make that attic space usable. So bigger project. Other project is inside this building there are outlets and light switches, but there is currently no power to this building, which is interesting. There is a fuse box in there with a couple of breakers in it. So I did figure out that on the other side of the driveway I can see conduit that comes out, and there is 3 wires sticking out there. So it looks like they were going to run power to it, and either A, the power got cut, or B, they never finished the job. I'm going to guess that it was B, they never finished the job. Things happened, money, or this lady was dealing with the issues that she had, and just the job didn't get done. So longer term project is to get the power run to the house or get initial service put in for the garage. What I have done in the short term is I bought a couple of cutover switches so that I can hook up my solar battery. What is it, Geniverse, I believe, 1,000, I think it's 1,000, that I can hook up inside there, flip that on, and I can actually power the lights and the outlets in there off of my battery bank, which is great. But if we try to put things like freezers or things like that in there, my battery and my array would need to grow greatly in order to handle all of that, and we're not quite ready for that yet. So other than that, it's been a great place to store stuff. And with my mother-in-law passing away, and our move we're moving from Kansas City out here to southeastern Missouri, and there's a lot of stuff we need to move, and this is great storage space for moving things. Even though the lights don't work, it gives us the space we need in order to do things. All right, there's a lot of wind, so I apologize for any wind noise. All right, let's do a little bit of walking here. We'll walk around a little bit. All right, so we've got the garage there. And next to the garage is our little workshop that I was talking about, kind of covering both of those. There is a little shed that's behind the garage, and the shed has power ran into it and a light in there, so got some access. Oh, you can see one of the cats. We did get 2 barn cats. Those are the first animals we've got on the property. There's a couple of cats, and they've been catching birds and mice. So we haven't seen any mice in the house since we got the cats. So that's a win. They seem to be doing their job. So haven't really. There's some debate on names. My wife has names, and one of the kids has names for them. But we haven't really coalesced on names for the cats. And do folks name their barn cats or not? I would imagine they're around enough, in our face enough, they're going to get names. But yeah, so anyway, we got 2 barn cats. We've got a shed. It's a little shed. It's got power. Kate wants to make that into her house for getting plants ready. One of the things we watch is Living Traditions, and she really likes how they get their plants ready for the spring. She kind of wants to follow that advice there and use that in the same manner, the grow house or whatever you want to call it, in order to get some seedlings ready. So we'll see. The cats are probably going to follow us around all over the place. So we've got the workshop. Now, one of the things that the lady did here previous to us was she raised dogs. So there's a bunch of dog pens that are back here on the side of the house. We will be using those for probably as we get dogs to protect livestock and stuff. And oh, it's really windy, so we'll have to see. We also have a bunch of concrete block you see there. That's Kate's idea, is to make use of the concrete block for our garden beds, which if you take a look out, now we're kind of getting to a spot. Well, actually, you can see a whole bunch of the space that we've got here. We've got a lot of space to work with now. So that's one of the great things about the new property, is lots of space. Downside is it's almost all overgrown right now, so we're gonna have to take care of that. We're also finding out that there are things hidden out there in the brush. So I imagine when they got all the animals out of here, that there were some issues taking care of them. What I heard was there were some issues taking care of them due to this lady's health, her having stuff on the property, things getting let go a little bit just due to circumstance. Looks like there are a lot of just downed cattle panels and T-posts that are kind of buried out there in the brush that we don't really know where they're at. So it's going to be kind of a discovery process. Tried to mow down some of it, but as we're discovering things with the mower, I will say, is not the optimal way to go. So we'll probably wait till the fall knocks a lot of this down through the winter, and then go out and try to figure out what's out there. So, all right, I'm gonna switch over to the house, and this is the house that we've got. So I'll try to post some pictures up of when we came out here and looked previously. So we've been doing a lot of work knocking down a lot of the brush that was around the house. So there was vines and overgrowth just it can grow pretty crazy here come the spring and summer, and it's starting to taper off here in the fall now, but we're still working on it. So all of this in here, I think I've got a picture of it that I'll try to flash up here, but this was pretty overgrown when we got here first. We're working on knocking it back, and it's going to be a bit of a process. There was a lot of poison ivy in there also, so it's kind of a scary thing to go through. We're not big fans of poison ivy. Surprise, surprise. Another project that Kate worked on, she put together, was this little stove out here. So she used some of her concrete block to put together this little stove, and it's worked out great. She did a little bit of cooking on there, fried up some burgers and some sausages, and it worked amazing. The one thing I think we need to work on is raising the firebox up a little bit. The fire ends up a little bit far away from where we're cooking at, but all in all, this has been a big win. So really it's just a bunch of cinder blocks stacked up. We've got some what they call expanded steel there in the middle that goes from almost the entire width from end to end of the cinder blocks. It's laid underneath that layer. Then across, got a piece of angle iron that helps kind of give it a little bit of a lip. You got another edge, and it creates like a little shelf with the remaining piece of expanded steel that we had, and another set of cinder blocks. And it's pretty solid construction at this point. Now, Kate did some digging to level all of this out, so kudos to her, because this is pretty... We're finding we've got a lot of clay, a lot of rocks, so certain areas have some stuff that we can use for planting, other areas not. So that's part of why we're looking at the cinder blocks for the raised beds, is because there's going to be a lot of work around that. So anyway, another addition to the house is this little guy right here that's sitting in the middle of the yard. This guy is, for those who recognize him, Starlink. So what we ran into was at the other place I could hook right up to some 5G service, and I was able to pull in pretty good bandwidth that way. That's not happening here. So the first week we were out here, I got a little bit of signal and thought maybe I could get some antennas like we did at the homestead, pointed at a tower, and we'd be able to get enough signal to do work and stuff, and that wasn't happening. So I was a little bit frustrated trying to do some work and kind of the day-to-day stuff out here. Kids, like their school's online, and we just were an internet kind of family. We do a lot of things online. So the cellular service wasn't cutting it, and it worked great for us out at the other place. So we had to come up with a different solution, and the sun's just peeking through the clouds over there. So we had to come up with a different solution, and I was very, what do I want to say? I was very scared is not the right word. Concerned. I was very concerned about how that was going to work out, because the wireless, the 5G, was my go-to solution, and it wasn't working out. What happened was, the same week that we were out here, I got an email from Starlink, which I had signed up for months in advance, saying that Starlink was ready for us and I could sign up for it. So it was perfect timing, and it has worked out great. I brought it out here, set it up, getting great bandwidth. I need to get it up off the ground and onto a post and on some part of the house, but Starlink has been amazing. The throughput has been great. I'm not using their router. I switched that off, and I'm using my own Wi-Fi setup. I think we're using, same as we're doing out at the other house. We're doing an Orbi setup inside this house here. So I can buy some more stations and stuff and kind of mesh it throughout the property a little bit. But that allows me to get, I think I've been getting 100 meg plus down, 150 at times. I'll have to go in and check it, but it's been giving me what I need in order to do my work, what the kids need in order to do their work. That's one of the things is we switched our kids to homeschooling, as we're doing a lot of back and forth right now. So the two boys the third boy is still going to high school back in Kansas City. The other two boys are doing the homeschool thing, and that they need some of that access in order to do their homeschool stuff. So, gotta say, Starlink stuff has been fantastic for us. So hopefully that keeps going. So very impressed with that. You get up on a post, get out of the way, but thus far, great service for remote locations. So anyway, let's go back around to more projects around the house. Another thing that we've been working on is these front gardens here, and I'll have to see if I've got a picture. I think I've got a picture of what this looked like when we got here. So there was kind of the realtor's photos, which look similar to what it looks like now. Then there were the photos of what we saw when we got here, and Kate did a lot of work on this front bed out here. So we did buy earthquake tiller, and we got the larger model. I'll have to see what that is. Maybe I'll post a picture of that up in the corner here. But we brought that in here, and boy, did that chew all of this up and make it into good earth. And well, I don't know, it was great earth. It was very compacted in clay. There were a lot of rocks in there, and this just chewed it up and took care of it. So did a really good job. And hopefully what we planted in there, we will see the fruits of in the spring. Kate tried to put some animal deterrent in there. She planted a bunch of bulbs in there. Hopefully that keeps the bulbs in there and keeps our, especially with all the wildlife we have around here, we're afraid they're going to be in there eating it, but maybe the cats will contribute to that not happening. All right, so let's switch around to, I'll show you kind of one of the views. And this was kind of a big selling point for this property here, was we have a 10 to 15 acre lake, I guess. Kind of depends on what the water is doing for the time. So you can walk down, and we have discussions as to whether this is the front or the back of the house. It's kind of tough to determine because looks like the front, but really the entrance, all the stuff comes from the back. So everybody comes in the other side of the house rather than this side. So Kate calls this the back, I call this the front, and we're going to have to come together on some terminology in the future here. But the rock that you can probably see the cats on is a great sitting spot to look out at that lake. Now, it was all overgrown. All of this was overgrown. We've mowed it down. We tried to clear out so we can actually get to the lake out here this way. We'll note that down on this corner over here, there's some beaver construction. Back in this corner over here, there's some beaver construction. So there's some work that needs to be done. Also, you can see maybe like right over there, there's a barn. And we have to figure out what to do with that barn. So it's got a concrete floor. Got pretty good space. They took some panels out of the roof. I'm not sure if that's to allow airflow or what's going on there, but we'll have to see. So this was kind of a selling point of this property, was this beautiful lake. It's supposed to be stocked with fish. I haven't done a whole lot of fishing up to this point, but we're going to have to give it a try. This big old sycamore tree here too has been pretty amazing. It's been a beautiful, beautiful tree. So there's a lot of really pretty trees on the property. All right, so that brings us inside the house. And inside the house has been yet another project. So you can see the flooring down here. Down here. This used to be vinyl flooring in here. So we bought a whole lot of Pergo, I think it's Applewood is a variety that Kate picked out. We decided to lay throughout the whole house. And that was a little bit of a concern because you got that big lake out there and everything was overgrown. I wasn't sure that the truck would be able to make it through here because we actually had 4 pallets of flooring delivered. And thank God the truck was able to drive down through here. The driver we had was amazing. Like dropped it off exactly where we wanted. So, thumbs up to Home Depot there. They came through for us there. But we've got all this Pergo flooring that we're laying. One of the reasons we decided to do that was because of the laundry room. So the laundry room has not only the laundry, it's got the furnace and it's got the hot water heater. And it looks like there was either an issue with the furnace or maybe it was the washer was overflowing, but we found a lot of rot underneath in there. You'd walk into that room and it was like spongy, bouncy as you would. It could be a trampoline in there. So not good condition. Ripped out all the flooring in there, replaced 2 layers of subfloor, did some sistering of joists to give us some more stability, and then laid new flooring on top of that. And since then, we've also gone through and done the living room, done the dining room here, and the kitchen over there. I'd never laid flooring before, so kind of learning as we're going. There's a couple of things that I wouldn't do in the future that we're doing. It's the way that we're doing it here, and once I kind of started the way the pattern is, we're trying to keep the pattern up. So has made things a little bit more complicated than I would like, but all in all, it's going pretty well. I also didn't take time to lay down any leveling with the floor, where I was kind of concerned with if I were to go through and try to level all of the floor, that the house hasn't really been lived in for a year, that just as we're here over the next year, any leveling that we do is going to kind of become unlevel. So we're just going with it kind of the way that it is. And this is replaced carpet. Hopefully I've got a before picture of the living room and an after picture of the living room that I can throw up there. And then a before picture of the dining room and then after picture of the dining room. A before picture of the kitchen and after picture of the kitchen. So you can see the difference it's making in the house as we go through and do all of this. So we probably could have got some more life out of the carpet that was in the house, but it just seemed like the right time to do all of this as we're kind of moving things in before everything gets established, to be able to drop down the new flooring before we get too much stuff in all of the rooms. So other things we've run into is the AC's been a little bit wonky, still battling that. The water that we've got pulses right now. I think the pressure tank is either the bladder and it's bad, or it just needs more air. Problem with that is that the pressure tank is underneath the house. It's not in a well house like in our other property where I can go address it out there. I actually have to crawl into the crawl space, which I'm not excited about doing. May need to figure out how to move that outside the crawl space because I don't want to do that. The attic space that's here, just like out in the workshop, we've got this huge peak for this house, and there's a ton of space up above us. But the way that the trusses are set up, it's all diagonal up there, and there's not a whole lot of walkway. I'm wondering if that can get shifted and changed to be more of a open space up there that we can make use of. There's just a tiny access at the back of the house to get up into there right now. So it will be interesting to see. I need to talk to an engineer, figure out if I can set up the trussing in such a way as to allow for that to be an open space and build it in. I'm pretty sure it can. You can buy trusses that have that. Imagine there's an addition of some wood. Hopefully you can make use of some of the material that's already there that I take out and can reuse it. We'll have to see. But that's probably good, like a winter type project. We're stuck in the house a lot more. So I've been working through all of that, but all in all, it's been going really good. Really love, being out away from the city, and the people out here seem to be a lot nicer and a lot more friendly. We've got some great folks in the area. It is working better for the kids, I think, being here than it would have been out at the other property. So all in all, a good move. So need to get packed up and get back to work. So thanks for tuning in. We'll try to keep the updates flowing a little bit more often than they're happening right now. Some of the things I think life is getting a little bit more orderly and not so much chaos. So ideally we can keep these updates on a more frequent basis. So In order to catch those, you probably need to subscribe. So that way you get notified when they come out, and then like this video. Let me know what you think. If you got suggestions for what it is we need to do. One suggestion I could make use of would be trees. We have what we thought was a walnut tree, but I think it's a hickory tree that's making pig nuts. We've got some peach trees. We've got some apple trees. What other trees should we put on the property? Because I would kind of like to get some of that started and think about where to place those. So we've already got some ideas, but being out here in southeastern Missouri, what would you recommend for trees for our food orchard out here on the property? All right, so that's it for now. And just remember, every day is an adventure.